live here. No social security number announcements. Alrighty. Hello. Welcome, everybody. We got a bunch of people here a little bit early. I'm just going to check to make sure my thing's working here. Hopefully, everybody had a good Father's Day. And more importantly, hopefully, you can hear me. Let's see. One second. We're going to update some private stock today, too. All right, cool. It's working. People in the chat. Doug K is here. Chris is here. Jeff D. Jaron. Good to see you guys. Beefet's here, my fellow Ash Hat. I noticed you didn't say Ash Hat. Happy Juneteenth. Hopefully you guys had a great Father's Day. Today we're going to look at some stuff that people have picked up over the weekend. And happy Juneteenth again. I thought there'd be a good amount of people here on a holiday. Usually more people come to live chats because they're not working. And I thought it'd be a good chance to update everybody on future private stock now that we've finished off through Father's Day. And if you're in the chat, say hi. Let me know where you're from. Be glad to chat with you. If you have any questions, I would also love to answer your questions after we look at my brief presentation for the morning. And before we get into some private stock, I really want to take a second to just thank some people, all the people that have picked up stuff over the long weekend here. Starting with Jeff W., Cynthia B., Matthew W., Andrew H., Dana H., Larry S., Jonathan C., Carolyn L., Peter Z., Jason R., Jin J., Colin M., Kyle P., Bradley B., Don S., Mo H., Joe C., Lee, Yi L., Jeffrey B., Mark H., Steve R., Armin S., Evan P., Toby G., Hector A., Alec A., Peter S., Ephraim C., Dang N., Hunter P., Daniel C., Samuel C., Julati A., Kevin Z., Mark H., William H., Darius N., Michael H., Fred M., George L., Tom S., Harold L., Tony B., Greg V., Stephen L., Marissa B., Charlene M., Ben F., Seth M., Caitlin G., Jacob S., Igor W., Price C., Tran L., Xavier A., Rainey S., Davim H., Isaac F. Thank you guys so much. Hopefully we'll get to look at your item in the video here today. All right. Oh, we got Pano here from Canada. Welcome. And Dia's here. Oh my God, check out the Star Wars wipe. Boom. We're going to look at some special stuff today. Wanted to give you a brief sort of announcement on private stock. So let's get right to that. I won't make you wait since that's the headline of the video. Make sure I get this going. Okay. Private stock. Flip over the camera. Do a little Star Wars wipe. This is a blue Yellowstone Fat Herbie, new leather from Horween. This was the one that I had worn for a couple months. Loved this leather. We're starting to see some of these in the wild now. I think even Doug in the chat here said he got his shrunken bison Herbie, similar to the one we're looking at here together. I think he said he got that. There's only been a couple made. And the reason I'm showing this first is because I'm hoping to put at least one of the blue Yellowstones in the next private stock event. So when will that be? We're expecting to have another private stock event in the next couple weeks. We're trying to do it before the end of the month here. I have on the table the starts of the private stock event, and I'll show you some of those items in a second. A little bit of the backstory here is we've noticed over the years, over our 12 years of existence now making wallets, that one of the most popular times of our products is around Father's Day. So we had spent a significant amount of effort and used most of our capacity to create product for Father's Day. Now that Father's Day is passed, we're able to do some more fun stuff. So next up on our batch, or on the agenda, I should say, next up is shell cordovan belts. I was just looking at them, the natural shell cordovan pre-order that we did a couple weeks ago, about a month ago now. We did quote 8 to 12 weeks on those, but we're starting on them now and they're looking really good. We're not so far away from finishing those, so we're expecting to finish those on time or early. So that was the next thing that we wanted to complete before we did some private stock. Now we have multiple people in the shop here, so we're able to do, you know, like walk and chew gum at the same time. So we're able to make some private stock at the same time. And I'll show you some peaks of those. Let me come back to this Yellowstone just for a second, because I came across a little swatch that you can see on the table here. This is what the shrunken bison product that Horween is making. This is called Yellowstone. This is what the crust looks like. And what the crust means, this is a leather that has not yet been finished. It has been tanned and cured. It actually was even drum dyed. But you can see the color is significantly different than on the finished Herbie here. This lighter, more electric blue color are the undertone, or it is the undertone color in the blue Yellowstone on the wallet here. So if you were to look very closely, you might be able to see some of those valleys in the texture are a little bit more of the electric blue shade, similar to the crust color here. And then what they do at the tannery is they take some stains and they tip the leather. It's a finishing application method called tipping. Take a soft cloth or a brush or any sort of applicator and then lightly apply that to the peaks of the shrunken bison texture here. So you get this really interesting two-tone effect. I just wanted to show you what the crust of the shrunken bison looked like because I thought it was really interesting just to see the difference of how it looks before it has been finished. But still like a very nice blue shade. So we are expecting to do some shrunken bison. Now let me sort of ramp this up here. I've got private stocks in little bags here. And I'm going to give you just a little bit of a teaser. So this is a Bugs Moran that is double-sided, so a traditional Bugs Moran in a plastic bag. And then the outside it has hidden card slots, so a traditional card slot on one side, a vertical card slot on the other. Now this next one, I might actually take out of the bag because I really like this wallet. This is a tall Tony the Ant in a tumbled natural shell cordovan. And again, this is sort of just a preview of what we're expecting to release, I don't know, in about 2 weeks. The goal is to have it done by the end of the month. You'll get a notification on YouTube here. I try to do a private stock preview video the day before we launch these. And then if you're on the newsletter, I give you a little bit of a heads up there. Now this is a tall Tony the Ant. So the bill slot is extended all the way to the top. There's no thumb notch in the back. And then this one also has what we've been calling the skip stitch, which is similar to our new Joe Batters. We have the stitching a little bit lower to make it a bit easier to get cash inside and out of the bill compartment. And then the inside, we have more tumbled natural with some reverse natural. This is a special tall Tony the Ant that we'll be putting up again on the next private stock event. Oh man, Jurassic Box is here. Definitely say hi if you're in the chat. Introduce yourself. Let us know where you're from. Speaking of Joe Batters, I don't have them in front of me here, but we will be doing some private stock Joe Batters. There were actually little bits we tried to make a couple extra wallets when we were doing the pre-orders. So there are extras from the original Joe Batters pre-orders in those same colors. And then I have a ton of baseballs. Let me actually change the camera here. This huge tote. This is all shell cordovan baseballs, and it's really heavy. It's probably like 30 pounds of baseballs. Let's just take a peek at a couple of them. Let's see, what should we look at? Oh man, they're really cool. I was pretty happy with how many of these turned out. All right. This is inverted black. We've got a whiskey shell cordovan here, it looks like. I wanted to pull out a couple unique ones that are more like a blue shades here. All right, check this out. And so these are not available yet. Again, I'll just remind everybody that these will be coming in the next private stock event. I wanted to keep people updated because I know a lot of you guys, especially on YouTube, really want to participate in the private stock. And I want to let you know that we're still doing it. So this is really cool. This is like reverse denim blue shell with obviously interesting dye splatter that was cut in a very thoughtful way. I like how this one turned out. Get some blue hand stitching on there. And here's another one that's like a combination of emerald green and then like reverse blue, it looks like. That also looks really great. So shell cordovan baseballs are coming. And then I have one very special wallet that I'd like to show you. Hey, Michael Kedge is here. Natty shell belts are coming along, B-Fet. we are working on those right now. I was just looking at them and they look great. So we need a couple more weeks before we are able to send those out. But there are a lot of belts and they take a lot of work. Again, I was just looking at them. They're coming along. We just need a couple more weeks here. All right, here's a remarkable piece. I'm going to make you wait for this one. This was a special wallet that Miranda in our shop had a thought about and then actualized that thought in the form of a wallet. And we're sort of always trying to introduce new things to our capabilities, new things for the private stock, especially new leathers, new methods, things like that. And with spring coming around, it is spring now, this wallet was actually envisioned in the wintertime. So this wallet here is a really special tall Herbie in the theme of spring with different colors and embroidery and inlays. So this has got a lot going on, and I'll bring it under the microscope here for you to look at. All right, we've got this interesting, like, this was actually drawn out and sketched out before it was created, and it looks actually better on a wallet. On the back of the bill slot here, this is, again, the tall Herbie, we've got these inlaid flowers in green Latigo horse, and then this is, I believe this is our teal horsehide Latigo for the blue colors. And then we have all that sitting on top of red. I believe this is a leather called Mystic. It's kind of similar to the Dublin. And then the stitching is all sorts of different stuff. There's a blue hand stitching along the outside. There's green hand stitching for the stems of the flower. And then it's got this yellow embroidery. And then the inside, we play off that same effect, alternating hand stitching for the card slot dividers with that blue stitching on the outside. So beautiful stuff from our incredibly talented team that will be coming out soon. And I did not want to leave you guys hanging again on the private stock, which is why I wanted to give you a little teaser here today to let you know that we're still working on stuff. We got great things coming. But I wanted to make some more. I feel like when we come back from not having private stock in a bit, that I wanted to make it extra special because I know people wait for these things. So with that being said, let's look at some more stuff that's shipping out today. And I've got a full table here, so bear with me for 1 second while I clean up. Okay, exercise. All right, I guess we'll start off with what's closest to me. You can see on the wall behind me here, there are some belts. And we're running low on some of the Color 8 belts, so maybe we'll start there. Just about every belt color, I think every belt color has been ordered over the last couple days. So if you ordered your belt, we're about to look at it before you get it. And we have all the colors represented, so it's a good chance for me to show them off. I was talking about Color 8 Chrome Excel. It's a really beautiful shade. The color idea is supposed to be the same color as Color 8 Shell Cordovan. And when translated to the Chrome Excel, it's a little bit darker on the surface because of all the waxes and oils in the Chrome Excel. They're a little bit different than the waxes and oils in the Cordovan, and it just translates a bit differently. The other thing is the pull-up effect. The undertones in the Color 8 Chrome Excel, I notice, are a little bit more dramatic. They're a little bit more red and a little bit more cherry and burgundy. And so it's a beautiful depth of color. And then you can almost see just how nice this leather feels. Look how waxy it is. It's just full of waxes and oils and grease. Very rich feeling leather. So we've got this one going out today. This will be cut into a size 34. So you can see on the, what do I do with my hands? You can see on this side, we have not yet cut this to length, but this will be cut into a size 34 with teardrop shaped holes, which I'd like to show you next. Jam this guy back in there. All right, here's an English tan Dublin belt. I was marveling at how nice this leather looks at just a moment ago when I was pulling it. The English tan Dublin here is an incredible grain character. Very nice figuring on the Dublin. And then the heavier weights of Dublin, like the 9 to 10 ounce English tan Dublin here, tend to have a little bit more dramatic character, but it does vary a bit. This one's a little bit on the extreme side. You can see we've got our teardrop shaped holes for the adjustment side holes. There are 7 of them, so it will should fit you for a long time, regardless of if you grow or shrink. And then more English tan double. Then on the other side, of course, these are all unlined belts. This one will be a size 34. If you got a 34, odds are this is probably your belt. And then we've got all the other colors too that we'll skim through very quickly. Brown Chrome Excel, need to cut this one into a size 36. Same idea on the brown Chrome Excel as on the color 8 Chrome Excel, where you have a little bit of a lighter brown undertone. It's like a mocha brown and then a darker brown color on the surface. Here's black Chrome Excel, the only Chrome Excel color that does not exhibit any amount of pull-up, but it is very, very nice. Very flat and even black color. You might ask why there's no pull-up on the black Chrome Excel, and that's because they have to impart more solids into the finish. It's more similar to paint, which I often criticize, compared to stains. But on the black Chrome Excel, the only way to achieve a true black is to introduce just a drop of solids into the stain mixture. And that gives you a little bit more coverage. If you don't do that, the black Chrome Excel often looks a little brown and a little bit gray, which is not what you want in a black belt. Here's our most popular Chrome Excel color. And I think this is the most popular color of Chrome Excel in the world, natural Chrome Excel, sort of a lighter brown shade. It does have a much more taupe-like appearance for the pull-up that you can see there. As I flex it, we're mobilizing all the waxes and oils that are tanned into this leather. And if you just sort of impart a little bit of friction, you can rub those waxes back into place. Sort of a fun parlor trick with Chrome Excel. I find it to be very comfortable on footwear. Looks like I pulled another English tan belt, which we already looked at. That one's a size 34 also. Here's a navy Chrome Excel, which is a little bit more subtle of a blue. You can see it nicely there. Very nice aqua blue for the undertones, a little bit more navy blue on the surface. If you flex this one as well, you can see some of those lighter, more aqua, more blue tones come out in the undertones on the navy Chrome Excel. Juneteenth, all banks are closed, my channel says. Pay tomorrow, Matt. Matt's in the room here with me. I'll make sure to pass the message along. And no worries, man. In fact, we're all the other stuff, including the belts here that we just looked at, we still need to ship them. So anything that's we're looking at the table, these are orders that have been placed over the last weekend, and we'll send them out tomorrow. Because like you mentioned, it's a federal holiday, which is great. All right, if you're in the chat, definitely say hi. Drop me some questions after we look at some more items that we're working on. I'll answer any questions you have. Give me one more second to slide in some more stuff. Wow, I got a lot of stuff to look at. Great stuff. Okay. This is the exciting part of the live stream where I just take things out of a box and put them on a table. Bear with me one second. Oh, and a regular belt to look at. I don't know how many irregular belts we have left, but they're a pretty good deal, and I'll show you why in a second. I think we also have like one or two irregular Johnny of the Foxes left too that are also, like, I'll show you why that's a good deal. Okay. Making room. Got to make space. Lots of stuff. Okay. What do we start with? You know what? I'll just start with the that irregular belt. We're looking at belts. From time to time, we get belts that that are not up to our quality standards, but they're certainly functional as belts. They tend to be irregular, like you can see on my beautiful post-it note, for cosmetic inconsistencies. So a little dense on these. These will actually I don't know if you can see it there. These will actually buff out or just polish out very easily. I noticed on this one, there's like some little bits of roughness on the flesh side, which is making this natural Chrome Excel belt an irregular, but otherwise it's really beautiful. You can see some of that extra figuring on this piece of natural Chrome Excel. Let's show you the other irregulars that we have up right now, the English Tan Dublin. Oh, Jaron Ellenmeyer says, hi, Matt. Matt says hi. All right, here's another irregular wallet. This is the Johnny the Fox. Very small inconsistencies on these. You can see there's like a little bit of a scar on the top there. And I think some of the beveling and edge finishing was just not up to our normal standards on this wallet either. So the English Tan Dublin Foxes, the irregular ones, are I find to be a good deal. Oftentimes the irregulars that we have if you just wear a new wallet for a week, or even an irregular one, you won't be able to tell the difference between an irregular and a normal wallet or belt for that matter. All right, here's a vertical card slot Bugs Moran in the Color 8 shell cordovan. We were looking at the Color 8 Chrome Excel a moment ago and wanted to try to show you the difference here. The Color 8 shell is darker. It's also more subtle in terms of the color depth, but there is a deeper, I should say there is still some depth in there. The undertones are a little bit more subtle, but they're more burgundy underneath. And then that surface is a little bit more of a brown. So oftentimes people consider Color 8 shell cordovan to be a burgundy shade. The tannery considers it to be a dark brown shade with burgundy tones to it. And then the inside, we have the vertical card slots that have become very popular. There's 2 on the left, 2 on the right, and then hidden card slots under each side. It looks like we cut an ink stamp into that guy. Got some more minimalist stuff here. Here's a really nice piece of natural shell cordovan. And this is our Frank the Enforcer, one of our only wallets that does not fold. So a little bit more of a minimalist front pocket style. And if you like patina, I suggest the natural shell. It tends to give you a more dramatic, it gives you more potential to develop a dramatic patina. Here's a Capone money clip in English tan Dublin. You can see a little bit more flat and smooth on the thinner weight Dublin. These are roughly half the thickness of the leather that we use on the belts. And oftentimes those thinner leathers tend to have less figuring in them, but there is from time to time a little bit more drama to that leather. In fact, let's look at the Fat Herbie here. This one's also very flat and smooth. A little bits of figuring, a little bits of texture in there. Of course, you get the insane grain character of Dublin, a very nice natural appearance because there's nothing solid to cover up any of those natural variances. So you get a lot of nice natural character, and as a side effect, by doing less to the grain, tends to give you a better chance to develop and change over time, as opposed to paint, which doesn't really change. Here's a fun one. Brown Cypress. We've got a Brown Cypress Capone money clip. If you looked at, I think we did a Cypress video where I showed Matt's Fat Herbie in the Brown Cypress. It actually made me jealous how nicely his has worn in. I'm noticing his color is actually lightened, which is different than we often see on most leathers. Most of the time, the leathers tend to darken a bit. I think what's happened on Matt's Brown Cypress Herbie is that the waxes have started to melt and blend in, and we're revealing some of those lighter undertones, which again is the crust color of the Cypress leather. Now let me show you my Herbie in Royal Blue Cypress. I've been loving the Cypress, especially on this blue color. It's incredibly resilient. It just eats the scuffs and scratches. I don't baby this thing at all. I throw it. I have like a stroller for my kid. By the way, happy Father's Day, everybody. And in that stroller, I just throw my keys next to this wallet. So you can see it's kind of become dented from that, but those tend to blend in very easily. And then throughout the day, I tend to wear it in my back pocket, and then it's just polishing itself over and over. So the Royal Blue Cypress, I've actually noticed, has become a little bit darker, and I really enjoy the Cypress. I think it's my favorite right now. But I'm, again, kind of jealous of my brothers. That Brown Cypress is really nice. Here's a new and unused Herbie in the Blue Cypress. Let's compare that quickly. See how much darker mine has become. It's a special thing, patina. I think that's why a lot of people come to us. I'll show you this guy that we got. Everything we're going to look at still needs to get finished up, polished up before we send it out. I wanted to showcase this also. This is one of our most popular wallets, and it's funny because it's so different than most things that we do. This is the Johnny the Fox with black Dublin on the outside, and then we have the teal horsehide latigo on the inside. There is something very nice and different about the color combination here, which is why I believe it's more popular. We just got these back, and I think they're almost gone already. So if you were waiting for these to come back, now's the chance to get one. We will be making more of them, but if you want one now, you might have to jump on that. Here's a Brown Cypress vertical Bugs Moran. Looks like we've got a Capone money clip also in the Color 8 shell cordovan. Still need to drop the hardware into that guy. Speaking of Color 8, here is another Color 8 shell cordovan piece. This is the Frank the Enforcer. What I love about our black and Color 8 shell cordovan items is we're doing this nice hand-stained edge and then waxing and burnishing all of the edges. It matches the color of the shell perfectly because we're using the same stains that the tannery uses. Here's a royal blue cypress Johnny the Fox. Love how clean this looks with the matching insides and outs, although the contrasting black and teal is also really cool. Here's a huge piece of Color 8 shell cordovan on the Fat Herbie. You can see those hand-stained edges on this guy, and then more Color 8 shell on the inside. Our most popular wallet here, Johnny the Fox in English tan Dublin. Really nice luster on this piece of Dublin, inside and out. Here is the brown cypress Herbie was talking about that Matt's been wearing, or he's been wearing one like this, same leather, but his is really aged nicely. And 100% Color 8 shell cordovan Johnny the Fox here. These are tough for us to make. We use naturally thin pieces of shell for all these card slots. We don't like to thin them down because it ruins the strength of the leather. It's sort of like a house. If you were to remove the foundation of your home, you lose all the strength of the structure. And it's the same thing that happens in the leather. So we try our best to make the wallets based on how the leather inherently is. We try not to do too much to it because it ruins it. Here's natural shell cordovan on a vertical Bugs Moran, another great one for patina. Here is a Tony the Ant in English tan Dublin. We've got a brown cypress Tony the Ant. A black Dublin. These are a lot of people are picking these up recently. Black Dublin Johnny the Fox with the black latigo on the interior. Very clean look. Two royal blue pieces, and these would be good to compare because we have the traditional card slots on a Bugs Moran and the vertical on the left. So traditional on the right, vertical on the left. They're the same exact footprint. The only difference is the card orientation on the inside, which you can see here. If you use one or two cards in each slot, I suggest the vertical Bugs, especially if you want to sort of organize your cards in their own compartments. Otherwise, if you're using like 3 or 4 cards in a slot, I really like the traditional card layout. I find this to be a little bit easier to use. I have more stuff to show you. We have a lot of different products, and I tried not to pull any duplicates. This is just sort of reminding me of how many different things we do. All right, we got some other stuff. We still have our deal going on with free conditioner. So if you spend $150, we're going to send you free conditioner right now. We're also selling other polishes. This is the Venetian shoe cream that Horween uses on every piece of shell. I find this product to work well on cordovan as well as Dublin, as well as Chrome Excel. This is a really versatile polish. Not as many hard waxes in the Venetian shoe cream as in the Saphir cordovan cream. So if you want extra bright luster, the Saphir cordovan cream has harder waxes in it and more of them. They tend to have more fill and a brighter luster. But the Venetian is a little bit more versatile in my mind. We're going to bring over the last boat. And just as a friendly reminder, if you guys have any questions, I'd love to chat with you. So drop a line, say hi. Okay, let's flip through this. Looks like we've got a valet tray here in black Chrome Excel, and the black Chrome Excel here is finished on both sides. So you can see the grain side on the outside here is the grain side. It's black, but there's also, what we do with Horween is try to have them finish it on both sides. So the inside of the valet tray is also black, but they introduce a little bit of a resin coating to fill in all those fibers. They're a little bit flatter than like a regular suede. And we have a bunch of key fobs going out for this individual, all in natural Chrome Excel. These are made out of the extra thick belt weight Chrome Excel. And then we have the antique copper hardware. These are very striking in person. I've been wearing one of those. We've got more valet trays, English tan Dublin. Here's a natural Chrome Excel valet tray and a Color 8 Chrome Excel valet tray. Now you can see we have 2 different sizes of the valet trays. The standard size, more squared off version, fits inside of the XL tray. I've been using the XL valet tray at home. I use the smaller one at my desk here at work, but this is a great size for dumping your phone into. So here's my phone. This is like a Pro Max or whatever. It fits nicely in there. If you have a Fat Herbie, like I have, it also fits nicely in there. You have to sort of like rest it up the side on the smaller valet trays, which is like not, it kind of sits in there, but it like hangs out the side a little bit. So my wife and I like to use the large XL Valet tray at home. We actually have one in the black color. Here's one in Color 8 Chrome XL with a little bit of dust on it. And you can see on the corners here that nice depth of color in the Chrome XL. I really like the Color 8. And then we take the Color 8 stain on the flesh side of the leather here and then stain it to be Color 8 and then introduce those resins I was talking about to sort of smooth it out. Really wanted to show you this wallet here. Every time I see these, I get really happy. Johnny the Fox in natural shell with the reverse interior. These have a natural waxed and burnished edge, where the black and Color 8, we do those stains. But there's something about the natural that, I don't know, I really like patina on natural shell cordovan. And if you wanted to see how this wallet here wears in, this is the Fat Herbie in natural shell cordovan. Take a look at the homepage of our website. These become much darker, much more golden brown, and the luster develops and changes with your style. So if you're wearing it really hard, it will actually change a little bit more dramatically. Now, this natural shell piece looks like a Fat Herbie, but this is the passport variation on the Herbie that we call the Traveler passport holder. The Traveler is slightly taller than the normal Herbie, as you can see here. And that's because we wanted to make it a little bit easier to fit a passport inside of here. Now I'll say this, if you don't want it to be larger, you can fit a passport in the back of the bill slot here. It sticks up right to the top, which is maybe not ideal for long-term storage and carry. I've seen people carry it here and the top of the passport starts to get a little bit frayed off. But what's great about the Traveler and the Fat Herbie, this will fit all paper currency in the world because the bill slot is much taller. It's also a thinner wallet. So if you stack your cards, I guess I'll just show you my wallet again. If you stack your cards like I do on the Herbie, I've got like 4 or 5 cards in each of these slots. This wallet just lays thinner with more stuff in it because it's spreading out the contents over more surface area. So back pocket wallet wearers that travel internationally, or just any back pocket wallet wearer, I really suggest the Herbie too. All right, more stuff. Big day. We got a carbon fiber comb from Chicago Comb with our English tan Dublin leather sheath going out today. And another English tan Dublin piece is the Fat Herbie in English tan Dublin. A couple more pieces here. We've got a Bugs Moran in the classic Color 8 shell cordovan with the hand stained edges. Beautiful piece. And looks like a natural shell cordovan Bugs Moran. And then the last one of the day, we got a vault key holder in natural shell. So we got through it. Thank you guys, everybody that's picked up. Oh, I didn't even show you the Apple Watch bands. But everybody that's picked up stuff, thank you guys so much. Let me give you a quick spin through these. Notably, on the Apple Watch bands, I've been wearing one for years now since we've started making these. I love mine. I love how comfortable it is. It's great in Chrome XL like I'm wearing now. I used to wear shell cordovan. They both work great, especially because they're unlined. So they tend to mold and conform to your wrist very well. I just find an unlined strap to be more comfortable. The notable thing about these Apple Watch bands is we can do them in a couple different hardware colors. So on the natural shell strap here, this has the silver hardware. And on this Color 8 shell cordovan Apple Watch band, we have black hardware. Those are the two choices. We make them for the larger size Apple Watches. I think we might have some limited hardware for smaller Apple Watch faces. And I'll have to be careful of my words here. Basically, if you look at the Apple Watches for any of the series, there's one that's like 45 millimeters and 43. We're making the 45 millimeter size lug adapters on the top here. But again, we might have some additional hardware options if you have a smaller Apple Watch face. And then the new Apple Watch Ultra matches very well with these silver adapters and the silver hardware buckle on this side. So the people picking up the new titanium Apple Watch Ultra have been having good luck with the silver hardware. I have more of like this space gray, I think they call it, watch that works better with the black hardware. And then this is the exact leather I'm wearing now. This is natural Chrome XL. Here's my natural Chrome XL. You can see how it's worn in. I actually got a bunch of suntan lotion on this yesterday by accident. I wear it running. I wear it riding the Peloton bike. I wear this thing all the time. You can wash the Chrome XL if it gets a little stinky, but make sure you condition it with something like Tanner's Blend after you impart or introduce soaps to the leather. You want to make sure to nourish the leather after pulling out all those fats with soapy water. I really like my Chrome XL that I've been wearing. I'm surprised how much I like it. So here's another color 8. We already looked at that. And then we have a black Apple Watch band to show you with some black hardware. Online strap again. So this reverse side of the shell is actually very comfortable on your wrist. So great stuff. Appreciate you guys supporting us. Everybody that's picked up something. Flip it back over here. Pull up the chat. Got this iPad thing. A lot of Apple in the room. All right. I'm going back to the top. Doug Castellan's got his Yellowstone Herbie. I hope you love it. I really liked mine. You know what? If I'm honest, I really like the texture on it. We were doing a promo video I was making a video about the Cypress, and I was so thrilled with Matt's brown Cypress Herbie that I had to start wearing the blue Cypress again. I like them both, but right now at the moment I'm digging the Cypress, but that blue Yellowstone, I'm excited for more people to see it because it is so special. There's not many. In fact, I can't think of a natural shrunken bison that is vegetable tanned and hand tipped. It's like a one-of-a-kind product. It's special. It's really nice. It's very resilient also. I think the finish they're using on there is extra nice. Chris says, you sold your Fat Herbie. Oh, no. Don't sell Herbie. You're regretting it. Do I have a Fat Herbie that I can't sell full price? We might have some irregular Herbies, Chris. And the best thing to do there would be to message my brother, Matt. He probably can hear me right now. His email is info@ashlandleather.com. Say, hey, I'm looking for an irregular Herbie. My ideal color is whatever, and my ideal leather is whatever. Just tell him what the dream is, and he'll show you what the closest option that we have available is. I know that we have a couple irregular Herbies, but I'm not sure what color or leather that they are. Happy Monday, Jeff D. Jaron, good morning. BFET, good morning. GH, good morning. Gave my dad coasters in a valet tray. He loved them. That's awesome. Hopefully he had a good Father's Day. Panos here, still from Canada. Very nice to meet you. Your name seems familiar. We may have met before. Dia, it's good to see you again. Loving the shrunken bison. Hopefully we'll have more of that soon. PRP2 says, every time I say electric blue, you hear that Ice House song in my head. I'm actually not familiar with that, but I should check that out to make sure I don't embarrass myself by saying electric blue. Jurassic Box is here. Good to see you again, buddy. Legend. Hey, good morning. Jurassic Box is from Washington, D.C. Hell yeah. Michael Cadge is still here from Canada. Michael's been a customer and a friend for a while now. Good to see you, Michael. BFED, I'll reiterate about natural shell belts. We are still working on the natural shell belts. We need a couple weeks left. I was just looking at them. They're looking great. Really excited for you guys to have those. And everybody that's had a pre-order for the natural shell belt, you know, when we sold those, I said 8 to 12 weeks, I think. Maybe even longer. But we are on time for that. Dia's in the Tampa area for now. It's probably pretty hot. Oh, and you're in Hawaii, Legend. Man, I'm jealous. Or should I be jealous? It seems like a good place to be. Although, I'll say this. Springtime, late spring right now in Chicago, I don't think you can beat Chicago right now. It's really nice. Really nice here. Bless you, Matt. All right. The spring wall, it's beautiful. I agree, Dia. Miranda did a really nice job on that. Really creative people and talented people we have. Good morning, Crispy. Matt says, hey, Phil and fellow Ash Hats. Hope you're well from the Netherlands, even though you probably can't stay too long. Yeah, good to see you, Matt. Thanks for stopping by and saying hi. I think we shipped out your stuff last week. Hopefully you get it soon. Matt says, before shipping, do you guys at the shop treat the extreme patina potential leather differently than other leathers in order to... Yeah, that's a good question, Matt. So... that's a really good question. The raw cordovan in multiple colors that we do not apply any finish to. So when I'm thinking about raw natural shell cordovan, I'm thinking about raw denim shell cordovan. We've done the raw ultraviolet. We've done the raw violet. We've done raw amaretto. The raw shells get quote unquote ruined. You lose the idea of the raw once you start putting the Saphir cordovan cream on it. So we avoid that. And it actually creates an interesting challenge because the leather is not impervious. So in storage or throughout production, oftentimes the leather can get like little bits of scuffs on it, which we normally will just polish before we send it, and it's no big deal. With the raw, we can't really, there's like no opportunity to fill those in. So we have to be extra careful with them. But the funny thing is like, it's another one of those things, like once you wear it for a week or two, if we sent you with like a little like scuff in it, you'll never know it was there just because it will polish out just naturally. So to answer your question, we don't do anything. We try not to do anything unless we have to. And in the case of the raw shells, it kind of ruined the whole idea of getting the raw shell, because I think the notion is that you want to be able to experience the entire change of that material through your own style and not through something I'm doing for you. At least that was our idea for that. Dia's loving the brown cypress Capone. Hell yes. Love the term dramatic patina. Me too. Dia says, my brown cypress was getting lighter too, but also got a bit scuffed. So I put some Bic 4 on it and buffed a light sketch. Yeah, there is a wax finish on the Dublin. There is a wax finish on the cypress, and it is a harder wax. So you can sort of melt those scratches back into the grain. So if you ever like give it a little scratch or scuff or something, most times, in my experience, I'm able to fill in those scratches even with a hair dryer. If I take my finger and rub the scratch, it goes away. Oftentimes I just leave it and wear it and let it sort of just blend in itself, and that's given me great results. But you can expedite the filling in of a scratch with a product like Bic 4. We have the Venetian cream, we have Severe Cordovan cream. You can fill it back in. LA says, are you going to sell some snakeskin wallets? We don't have any plans for that right now. We try to use mostly Horween leather stuff, and it's stuff I like and I'm familiar with. And I'm not necessarily against a snakeskin wallet, but there would be a bit of a learning curve of how we would work with that material. So we just haven't done it yet, and I don't really have plans to. Jurassic Box says, do you have the ability for garnet stained edges? Yes, we do. We actually have. I'm looking over at our stains. I think we have. Do we not have that, Matt? Matt says, no, we don't have it. We can get it. We've had it in the past, right? Never? Oh, okay, I guess we've never had garnet. I think we have every shell cordovan color, maybe with the exception of garnet, but I can get that for you. So that's something we could do by request. It might just take a little bit of extra time for us to get the stain matching. Matt said, Phil, the different tans you show are beautiful. Would it be thinkable that shell would be available in different tannages apart from the post-tannage? So that's a really interesting question, Matt. So shell cordovan, the words, that set of words is identifying a specific membrane under the hindquarters of a horse. And it's that dense fiber layer known as the shell. And there are many tanneries, like a dozen or less tanneries in the world, that are tanning that material. So the tannage that Horween uses, they just call it shell cordovan because that's the only way they treat the cordovan. You can tan that cordovan with different materials, with different processes, one of which is called work shoe butt, which we've done in the past. They make the horse butt dense fiber layer, the shell. They tan that more like Chromexol, but it does sort of have similar characteristics that you're probably familiar with normal shell cordovan. And the reason I bring it up is every tannery has a different set of procedures, has a different formulation, different recipe for how to treat that shell cordovan. So even though it's all called shell cordovan, it's made in a different way, and the result of each tannery's output is very different also. So it gets really confusing because there's no quantifiable way to like tell you what's different in terms of like a visual appearance of Horween shell cordovan versus Shinky or some other tannery or Merriam. It's tough because you kind of have to see it in person, smell it. It's all the senses, feel it. I can tell you my biased opinion is I feel the Horween stuff is more rich and full. It's got a better temper to it. I find the appearance of the finish to be more of a natural appearance. Other tanneries I've seen have had a pretty decent, sometimes can have a nice natural appearance, but Horween's is very, very aniline, very, very transparent. And it has a more natural look, where some other cordovan I've seen is like very finishy, some of them. So don't want to like blanket statement everything. I just find the Horween stuff to be more rich and full and luxurious. It's just, it's more about a feel, like grabbing it. Something feels special in it. It's a good question there. Who had 16 cards these days? I do. I think I have more than 16 cards. You know what's funny with the business, you get like, I have my personal card, and then my wife and I share a credit card, and I've got my driver's license, and I have business cards. I have a business credit card, business debit card. I have health insurance cards. It's like, it's crazy. the cards add up. And then sometimes I'll try to slim down and not have all of them with me. And I'll always have a moment where I'm like, dang, I should have brought all my cards because I need it right now. It sucks because you don't need them every day. Maybe like once a year, I need my like business debit card, but I'm sure glad I have it when I need it. So Matt says, fully tested the Apple Watch Ultra, being very comfortable with the Nomad silver hardware and the Ashland Cordovan bands. Nice. And by the way, let me plug the podcast. We did a podcast interview with one of the founders for Nomad. Check out the Full Grain podcast. We're on YouTube. Brian from Nomad was incredible to talk to. I loved that episode. He's very knowledgeable about materials. I'm going to plug Full Grain podcast. Check it out. We're on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube if you like videos. Leland loves the Joe Batters. And good morning, Uncle Berto. All right, big fan of my new album. Dude, Chris, are you listening to Hour in the Sunlight? That's awesome, man. I like it too. It's that album we did is 10 years old, and we started re-recording it during the pandemic, just as like a fun thing to do during the pandemic. And it turned out so good that we like did a full mix master, spent a lot of effort to reproduce it. And I love it too. It's called The Return of Inertia 2.0. Love it. And we're playing some of those songs live next month in Chicago here. If you want to come say hi at the show. Yeah, this one, I'm doing like too many things, but I also have a band. I love playing music. It was sort of my first love, but I also love the leather. I'm a nerd for every video games. Check out the podcast. I mean, we do a lot of stuff and it's all fun. It's just about spreading joy. Matt says, thanks for extensive answer. There is a time lag. What I meant is, do workers wear gloves in some cases where the leathers are more raw? Our workers, yes. I'm looking across the room right now, no. But especially if we're doing lighter colors, we need to be extra careful. Wash our hands, wear gloves. If we're doing staining, we will wear gloves. But yeah, it's like even in this. Sometimes I use these boxes just to transport stuff around. You can see the edges have sort of like imparted a little bit of color to the bottom of this Oak Street box. So the wallets themselves will put colors onto other wallets, especially natural shell. We have to store the Cordovan wallets in a different way. Every wallet gets bagged individually in storage. So it's actually a pretty tough challenge, especially with the light colors like natural shell. That's a good question. Crispy says, I was wondering how you would recommend washing shell Cordovan has gotten dirty. That's a really good question too, Crispy. I would say it depends on what the source of the dirt was. I've had luck just taking like a pint of water, just tap water, and dropping a little bit of dish soap in it, and then washing I do it on footwear, and I'll wash the Cordovan that way. There is a product that I have that I don't sell, but I could sell you one called Renomat, and my suspicion is that it is, I think it's oxalic acid that tends to take out stains without affecting the patina of the leather. So I would look into Renomat. If you want one, I can sell you one. I honestly haven't done enough testing on it myself. I bought a few cases of it years ago and I've never sold it just because I'm not as familiar with the product in many applications that I want to be before selling it. And I'm hesitant to suggest it because it is a little bit destructive. So I just want to be careful before I sell anything. But if you want to wing it, you could try some Renomat. How's that for a non-firm answer? Are you going to sell any wallets you made for Skip Horween? No, but we will have some stuff with Skip Stitch in the next private stock. And I think there's a couple things with the Skip Finish, which have been hits. Matt, I'm glad you liked the podcast with Brian from Nomad. That was a good one, right? I actually really liked the last one we did with Few Spirits. I really like Few. Jeff D says, I purchased a bottle of Few bourbon this weekend, shared it with family, and everyone loved it. Wouldn't never know about Few for the podcast. That's good, man. What's funny about that is my wife and I are not familiar with spirits at all, which you can probably tell from that podcast. So what we did was we took a bottle of the same thing you had, the Few Spirits bourbon, And I played the podcast with my wife, and we were listening to him explain how to taste it, and we followed his instructions. It kind of helped. But that Fuse stuff is much stronger than most things I drink, so it's been beating me up. But I like it. Shakira says, does the teal Latigo have the same thickness as the Cypress? We have made this teal Latigo in multiple thicknesses. And to answer your question is yes and no. We make 4-ounce teal Latigo for the outsides of wallets, like a Johnny the Fox, and we use a thinner, roughly 2 to 3 ounce thickness teal Latigo for the inside of the Johnny the Fox, for the inside of the vertical Bugs Moran. Anytime we need a thinner leather, we use the thinner pieces. I do both of them, so we can do both. I'm unsure. I think we may not have any of the 4-ounce left at the moment. We might. We've done it in the past. Actually, that teal Latigo wasn't great. You cut the amount of cards you carry to 6, GH. The rest of your cards are in your Apple Wallet. That's pretty smart. Oh, I should think about that. Dia loves Return of the Inertia too. Oh man, I'm glad you guys are checking out my music. I've been waiting my whole life for people to listen to music that I do. Thank you for checking that out. It means a lot. And we lose money making music. It's really funny. It's kind of sad, but it's just fun. We had band practice last night. It's the best. It's the best, man. Corporal Punish says, ever think of using kangaroo for inner pockets? The stuff is really thin, light, and strong. I've done some stuff with kangaroo. It's nice. We haven't done it for Ashland stuff because I've been trying to use mostly Horween. But I wouldn't rule that out. That seems like a good option, especially for the insides of wallets, Corporal Punish. Good comment. Matt says, thank you, Phil. Was exact answer looking for. Yeah, my pleasure. Eugene, greetings from Russia. Oh my God, Eugene. Welcome. Glad to have you here. And good to see you, Crispy. Thick says, will a black shell Cordovan belt be released? Ironically, you know what? I'm wearing a prototype black shell belt right now. If you want to see it. This was like one of the first prototypes we did. We are planning to do more shell belts. Here. Now this again was a prototype. So don't know when I'll be doing these. Basically, the long story short is we aren't able to make a ton of shell belts. Just we're a smaller place, and I would love to do more, and we will do more. We thought it was, or I think it's a, how do I say this? We want to do black shell. We want to do color 8 shell. Haven't started with those because we wanted to give people things that never existed before. So we started with the color 4 belt. That was one of my favorite shell Cordovan colors. That is one of my favorite shell Cordovan colors. You can't get that anywhere. Then we did the natural shell belts as the second release because you can't really get those either. Color 8 and black are sort of down the list because they kind of exist. Ours are a different belt. They're thicker, they're more beefy, they're a little bit more casual than the other existing shell belts. So there is a place for us to do color 8 and black, but I've sort of like de-emphasized that in the priority list. So not to be too much of a bummer, we can do it. We probably will do it. It might be a while, but we are trying to release more and more shell belts. Good question. On the thickness, I could go on. Would it be better to skive the top or the bottom? For thickness of what? So if you're skiving, most times you're trying to skive the underside of the leather, the side that is not intended for the world to see. And usually that happens on something like a watch band when you're wrapping it around a spring bar. And you want that thickness to be like a little bit more consistent once it folds back over onto another piece. Because where you stitch it down, it'd be double the thickness. You kind of want to taper it down a slight amount. So in most cases, you're skiving like the reverse side of the Cordovan or the flesh side of Chrome Excel. But if you're doing a suede, you're going to skive the opposite end. If you're doing like a flesh out suede, you'll be skiving the grain side. All right, we caught up with the chat here. That's a good time for me to go work on your wallets, get some stuff shipped out. Just as a recap here, we are doing some more private stock, trying to get them rolling over the next couple of weeks. Can't commit to a date just yet. I want to make sure we do it right, but the goal is to have them released before the end of the month. And if you want to be the first to know, make sure you're on YouTube here. Subscribe. I usually don't tell people to subscribe, but if you want to know, this is the place I put the preview video the day before we release private stocks. I do a preview video, try to show you just about everything that we're going to release on the next day, and I'll tell you when it's going to happen. These tend to go pretty quickly, so I think the preview video is a nice way for me to show you what to expect. So when the drop happens, you're not like trying to search for which one you want. You might already have in your mind, like, okay, I'm interested in this, and that, and try to search for those first, because again, they tend to sell, like, I don't know. Sometimes they will go really fast, and some of them take a little bit longer. But it's a good way. It's a good way to show the stuff before it happens. Dia loses a lot of money making music. It's just fun. You got to do it for fun. And every time we play a show or sell merch, it just goes right back into the band, for like paying for engineers to record the stuff, or, we have gear with like in-ear monitors for when we play on stage. Like all this stuff is thousands of dollars. And then I buy instruments because I like them, and they're even more money. It's tough. But thanks everybody again for being here. I really, really appreciate you guys supporting us. Hopefully you have a great Juneteenth. I'm trying to find how to stop the stream here. I lost my mouse. Oh, there it is. Thanks again for all the good questions, guys. I'll hopefully see you again soon. Take care.